On behalf of the Window and Door Manufacturers Association, I want to welcome you to your ICC certified webinar. I'm WDMA Director of Government Affairs, Kevin McKenney, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to this course. This course will begin with a presentation detailing window, door, and skylight standards, certification, and their relation to code compliance and verification. At the conclusion of the presentation, you will receive information on how to access the online quiz to earn your CEUs. You will be receiving your certificate of completion by email in approximately 2 to 3 business weeks. In addition, upon completion of the quiz, you will be directed to the WDMA website, where you will be able to access your copy of the North American Fenestration Standard and other related documents, free of charge, for your continued reference if needed. For questions, please contact us at 202-367-1157 or by email at wdma@wdma.com. As a code official, you know the importance of the structural and energy efficiency requirements for fenestration. They are critical to ensuring the structure is protected from environmental hazards, such as water intrusion and high wind, energy efficiency of the building, and, at the same time, meeting other requirements related to occupant comfort, safety, and health that may be specified. We will discuss window, exterior door, and skylight product certification programs that have been designed to help you as a code official verify that any given window, door, or skylight meets all applicable air, water, structural, operational, and energy efficiency requirements. The WDMA Hallmark Certification Program is one such third-party independent certification program, allowing manufacturers and suppliers of windows, doors, and skylights to ensure compliance with these requirements, as well as other material and component requirements that may be specified. The Energy Performance Certification under the National Fenestration Rating Council will also be discussed. The learning objectives for this course are: identify the fenestration standards defining the industry, identify the fenestration building code requirements, understand the National Fenestration Rating Council's energy ratings, understand fenestration certification and labeling requirements, understand the composition of fenestration labels and where on the label to find compliance information, learn how certification programs such as WDMA's Hallmark Certified and NFRC certified products can make code compliance verification easier for code enforcers. Let's start with an overview of the North American Fenestration Standard. While also known as AMA, WDMA, CSA 101, IS.2, and A440, titled from the 3 legacy documents that served as the basis for the current standard, the standard is most commonly referred to as the North American Fenestration Standard, or simply NAFS. NAFS is the fenestration industry standard for determining air, water, structural, impact resistance, and other performance characteristics as required by building codes such as window opening control devices. In addition, NAFS covers other performance attributes fenestration manufacturers incorporate as a standard practice that are not necessarily required by the code, but help ensure the overall quality of the product. Some examples include: the provisions of NAFS establish the product rating and validation test requirements for the approval of fenestration product materials and components. Product testing, rating, and approvals are certified through third-party certification. And, in addition to the application of the standard for code compliance purposes, the testing, rating, and certification allow for product comparisons, especially important to architects, engineers, consumers, builders, contractors, specifiers, and others. WDMA has demonstrated their leadership through the years of standards development and consensus building through the industry, resulting in the exterior product standard for windows, doors, and skylights. WDMA also worked closely with other organizations to develop the North American Fenestration Standard that is referenced in the building codes. Standards development is dynamic to keep up with industry technology developments. The current standard was developed over years of working with the USA-Canada Joint Document Management Group, or JDMG. This body includes representatives from AMA, CSA, WDMA, and other interested parties. WDMA standards and test methods are referenced in building codes, are required by architectural and builder specifications, and form the basis for high-performing, relevant product rating. Underscoring this standard as the primary linkage between standards, building codes, and certification for attributes such as air infiltration, resistance to water penetration, and structural loading. The current edition, 2011, is the third edition. The JDMG is completing revisions for the 2017 edition, which will be the fourth edition and will be referenced by the 2018 editions of the I-codes. To achieve a rating to the NAF standard, a product must be evaluated for compliance to the 4 performance class primary requirements and the 5 primary performance requirements, as well as the standards performance and prescriptive requirements for materials and components that are incorporated into the completed fenestration product. In other words, the standard not only covers the operating force, air leakage resistance, water penetration resistance, or structural tests, but also includes a host of fenestration material and component requirements. There are specific requirements for hardware, fasteners, structural reinforcing members, weather stripping, insect screens, sealants, and coatings. To fully comply with the standard, the above-mentioned component requirements must be met to get a performance grade rating to the standard. The standard also has specific requirements for the framing and component materials such as wood, vinyl, cellular PVC, fiber-reinforced PVC, aluminum, fiberglass steel, cellulosic composites, ABS, flush and molded door panels, door insert frames, as well as other materials. Choosing WDMA Hallmark certified products ensures that the windows, doors, and skylights in your project will not just meet minimum rated design pressure requirements, but also meet all of the standards performance, material, and component requirements as well. It is important to specify window, door, and skylight products to the NAF standard to ensure the complete standard is being met. In an effort to facilitate this process, the standard includes a short form specification in clause 0.3 of the standard. To complete the form, the specification writer shall insert the product type performance class and performance grade, or PG, for the product desired by specification designation, such as R-PG15-HS for horizontal sliding windows, or AW-PG40-AP for projected windows. The area of the built environment we will be primarily discussing is regulated by the International Residential Code, or IRC, and the residential provisions of the International Energy Conservation Code, or IECC. As previously noted, these codes reference specific fenestration industry standards, and in particular, NAFs. In accordance with these codes, a product's manufacturer is required to test and provide proof of performance to the requirements of the model code's referenced standards. The performance data is then certified by a third-party independent certification agency. As with other building materials that require certification, the certification agency issues certification documentation and authorizes the product manufacturer to label their product in accordance with the model code requirements. Certification programs, such as WDMA Hallmark Certification Program, exist to guide the manufacturer from product design to testing, so they can appropriately label their products to meet the applicable code requirements. There are many building codes, so for this presentation, we will focus on the International Residential Code 1 and 2 family dwellings. The building code requirements for windows, doors, and skylights include the wind design criteria or structural wind load requirements. The building code also requires protection of openings by impact resistance to windborne debris in coastal regions susceptible to hurricanes. The building code also includes specifics on fenestration testing and labeling. The International Residential Code section R301.2.1 addresses the wind design criteria. Buildings and portions thereof shall be constructed in accordance with the wind provisions of this code, using the ultimate design wind speed in table R301.2.1 as determined from figure R301.2.4a. The structural provisions of this code for wind loads are not permitted where wind design is required, as specified in section R301.2.1.1. Where different construction methods and structural materials are used for various portions of a building, the applicable requirements of this section for each portion shall apply. Where not otherwise specified, the wind loads listed in table R301.2.2, adjusted for height and exposure using table R301.2.3, shall be used to determine design load performance requirements for wall coverings, curtain walls, roof coverings, exterior windows, skylights, garage doors, and exterior doors. The Building Code section R301.2.1.2 addresses the protection of openings and the requirements that are that exterior glazing in buildings located in windborne debris regions shall be protected from windborne debris. Glazed opening protection for windborne debris shall meet the requirements of the Large Missile Test of ASTM E1996 and ASTM E1886 as modified in section 301.2.1.2.1. The residential energy performance requirements are covered in the code section R402.3 on fenestration, stating that in addition to the requirements of section R402, fenestration shall comply with sections R402.3.1 through R402.3.6. R402.4.3, fenestration air leakage. Windows, skylights, and sliding glass doors shall have an air infiltration rate of no more than 0.3 cubic feet per minute per square foot, and swinging doors no more than 0.5 cubic feet per minute per square foot. When tested according to NFRC 400 or AMA, WDMA, CSA 101, IS2, or A440 by an accredited independent laboratory and listed and labeled by the manufacturer. R402.5, maximum fenestration U factor and SHGC. The area weighted average maximum fenestration U factor permitted using trade-offs from section R402.1.4 or R405 shall be 0.48 in climate zones 4 and 5 and 0.40 in climate zones 6 through 8 for vertical fenestration and 0.75 in climate zones 4 through 8 for skylights. The area weighted average maximum fenestration SHGC permitted using trade-offs from section R405 in climate zones 1 through 3 shall be 0.50. The International Code Council Residential Building Code addresses the wind design criteria and related window and glass door testing and labeling requirements. Once the structural provisions of this code for wind loads are determined, the design load performance requirements for fenestration products can be specified. In an effort to facilitate this process, the standard includes a short form specification in clause 0.3 of the standard. The International Code Council Residential Building Code, Section R609.3, addresses testing and labeling to the design criteria and related window and glass door testing requirements. The North American Fenestration Standard, or the NAF standard, defines the testing requirements. A label from a certification agency is the most straightforward method to prove compliance. The product certification programs for fenestration products are based on the fact that this is a documented design that is third-party tested and certified with ongoing third-party plant inspections to and quality systems to ensure the product continues to be manufactured to the same design that it was tested to. A product certification system includes standardized procedures for testing, evaluation, and ongoing third-party plant inspection follow-up. This allows for assurance that the products continue to be made as they were tested. This is an improvement over systems using evaluation reports and adds another layer of third-party plant surveillance. The product certification bodies, such as the WDMA Hallmark Certification Program, are accredited by the American National Standard Institute, or ANSI. ANSI is also an accrediting organization for certification programs. The product certification programs are under the International Organization for Standardization. The certification bodies are accredited to the ISO IEC 17065 Conformity Assessment for Bodies Certifying Products. ANSI is a signatory to the International Accreditation Forum, or IAF, and is part of the multilateral arrangements between countries on certification body and laboratory approval requirements. The WDMA Hallmark Certification Program is assessed by ANSI annually. The program procedures, quality assurance requirements, and plant audit requirements are a few of the key areas under ANSI's review during the assessment process. The WDMA Hallmark Certification Program requires third-party testing of windows, doors, and skylights. The laboratories are required to be accredited ISO 17025 for general requirements for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories. The testing requirement establishes a process that evaluates the products independent from the manufacturer. As an added step of quality assurance, the manufacturing facilities are inspected multiple times each year. WDMA Hallmark certification validates performance requirements to the building code requirements. The program validates the performance requirements of the industry standards referenced in the building code, as well as the materials and components conform to the test protocols referenced in the North American Fenestration Standard. The WDMA Hallmark certification program also includes standards covering impact by windborne debris for the jurisdictions requiring impact protection. Total product performance. The WDMA Hallmark Certification Program is a third-party certification program that allows manufacturers and suppliers of windows, doors, and skylights through rigorous tests and inspections to ensure compliance with referenced air, water, structural, and impact performance standards, as well as the specified materials and components requirements. With 25 recognized primary standards, more than 175 material and component standards, and follow-up quality audits, WDMA Hallmark Certification Program represents the highest level of quality and is considered a mark of excellence in the industry. In addition to the primary performance attributes, such as the air infiltration, resistance to water penetration, and structural loading, the product's materials and components are also evaluated to the requirements of the code reference standard. The certification program validates the performance requirements of the industry standards referenced in the building code, as well as the material suppliers conform to the test protocols referenced in the North American Fenestration Standard. Specifically, the wood products are evaluated to the WDMA specification for the preservative treatment of exterior wood and wood cellulosic composite millwork products. The wood adhesive used in finger-jointed and edge-glued products used in the manufacture of finger-jointed parts shall comply with the wet use adhesive requirements of ASTM D5572. Any adhesive used in the manufacture of edge-bonded parts shall comply with the wet use adhesive requirements of ASTM D5751. This next section will discuss the Energy Code labeling requirements. The National Fenestration Rating Council, or NFRC, was founded in 1989 to create a uniform method for the energy performance ratings of windows, door, and skylight products. In 1992, Congress codified NFRC's role as the nation's organization for rating and labeling the energy performance of fenestration products in the National Energy Policy Act. NFRC has established the leadership position for energy ratings of fenestration products. The NFRC addresses the ratings for the energy flow through products and rates the heat transfer, solar heat gain, as well as visible light transmittance and air infiltration. There are several factors that go into the energy performance of fenestration products. The most apparent property for the thermodynamics of a system is the temperature-driven heat transfer measured as a U factor. The heat transfer is from the higher temperature to the lower temperature. Additional ratings that are also requirements of the building code are the solar heat gain and air infiltration. The U-factor rating quantifies a product's ability to prevent heat from transferring from a warm surface to a cold surface. The lower the U-factor, the better a product is at keeping heat inside the building. U-factor is particularly important, and the rating is based on winter nighttime conditions. This NFRC label displays U-factor in U.S. units. Labels on products sold in markets outside the U.S. may display U-factor in metric units. The solar heat gain coefficient is the measure of the heat gained through fenestration products by direct or indirect solar radiation. The higher the number, the higher the solar heat gain. The NFRC rating is referenced to as the solar heat gain coefficient, or SHGC, and this rating is also referenced in the codes. Additional information on NFRC ratings can be found at www.nfrc.com. NFRC also created a webinar titled The NFRC 101, How the NFRC Rating and Labeling System Works. And this is also eligible for AIA continuing credit. The fenestration energy requirements in the building code include a prescriptive path with default tables as well as a performance path. The prescriptive path is identified in section 402.1 of the code for the component effectiveness in the thermal envelope. The fenestration prescriptive performances from table 402.1.2, which states that a maximum U factor 0.65 and maximum SHGC 0.30. A maximum U factor exception is allowed for impact-rated fenestration to be 0.75. However, if the window area as a percentage of floor area exceeds 20%, the performance path must be used. One can use the default tables or go to an energy performance path method. The energy performance path method for windows, doors, and skylights is identified in section 303.1.3 of the code, and the U factor must be determined by use of the NFRC 100 through an independent laboratory. The products must be labeled, and products lacking a label will be assigned a default U factor. The solar heat gain coefficient or SHGC, of glazed fenestration products shall be determined through an independent laboratory in accordance with the NFRC 200. If the product is not also labeled for the solar heat gain coefficient, the product shall be assigned a default value from Table 303.1.33. One of the primary objectives of a rating and labeling program or a certification program is to clearly communicate product performance to the specifiers, code officials, and end users. Creating and reading labels is very important. Leaving out even one key performance requirement can lead to the product not being rated and performing as expected. Fenestration products are required to provide evidence of meeting the 4 required areas of compliance discussed in this presentation as applicable to the jurisdiction having authority, and those areas are the North American Fenestration Standard, structural wind loading, energy performance, and impact resistance to windborne debris as necessary. That is done through labeling administered by a third-party certification agency. The rating requirements for code compliance are for structural wind loading and impact resistance to windborne debris. The NFRC label clearly identifies the NFRC as the certifying agency, as well as a manufacturer and product description. The required code information is also included for the U factor, solar heat gain coefficient, visible light transmission, and air infiltration. Please note that air infiltration is an optional rating for NFRC. Air infiltration is a requirement of compliance with the NAF standard. The WDMA Hallmark Certification Program validates performance requirements of industry standards in the building codes and ensures material suppliers conform to the test protocols of the North American Fenestration Standard. This is an example of a label that indicates WDMA as the certifying agency, identifies the manufacturer, product, the standards it is rated to, and the ratings which correlate directly to the building code requirements. Product performance ratings can also be reviewed online on the WDMA website under the Hallmark Certification Certified Product Search, making it easier to find and compare certified product lines.